While the intention is to curb pollution, the question is over feasibility, and Ashish Khetan of the Aam Aadmi Party therefore has some tough questions to answer tonight. Also joining us on the debate are the Congress's Aman Panwar and the BJP's GVL Narasimha Rao. Also good evening to Vimlendu Jha, environmentalist and founder of Swecha, and Sumaira Abdulali, environmentalist and activist. Good evening everyone. Ashish Khetan, the biggest concern and the first reaction from almost every Delhiite has been, if this is going to be imposed, what are our alternatives? Our public transport system is certainly not efficient and adequate enough right now. What about women's safety? What about children who are dropped to school in cars? There are so many questions and only 4 weeks for you to work out the modalities.
Right. So first, this is not an either-or situation that only we are thinking of one measure to combat air pollution and not other measures. Today we announced 13 measures, and odd even car registration number plate is just one of those measures. And this is an emergency measure which has been taken keeping in mind the severe air pollution, the severe quality of air that we are suffering in Delhi today. And
yes, but you were aware of that air quality
Beijing,
even
Bogota,
when the rap from the court came. So Ashish, the fact is, you're accepting that this is an emergency measure, but the emergency measure, first of all, has come after the rap from the court when you were given a deadline and a timeline. And secondly, the larger questions are, you're talking about banning private vehicles only. Even if we look at just that issue, what about commercial vehicles? What about trucks? What about buses?
So first of all, every city, every global city which is facing the problem of air pollution is regulating the number of private vehicles, including especially private diesel vehicles. Paris is going to ban diesel, London is banning diesel, Beijing has already banned diesel. That's one. At some point, Delhi has to regulate the number of private vehicles on its roads. As I said, this is an emergency measure taken keeping in view the severe air pollution that we are suffering in Delhi. Number two, this is not the only measure that we are taking. We have to augment our urban transport. Metro has been a big booster. We are going to increase the number of buses immediately in short term, and also in long term we are going to have more fleet of DTC and private bus operators.
Ashish, we welcome the move. Please understand that at no point are we saying that you taking measures is not right. The question is it practical, and have they put some thought to it? Aman Panwar, before I come to you, GVL Narasimha Rao, have they thought this through? When you look at the 13 measures, and when you look at what after the court rap this comes out, the first question you're thinking, is this practical? Will it work in Delhi?
Anand,
by the way,
every idea
both
is
for central government and state government.
Yes, I agree. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying no. The court trap was both for the center and the state. That is true. But has it been thought through is the question, straightforward. GVL Narasimha Rao. And
we have to work together.
Yeah, Anand, every idea is as good as it is implemented. I think certainly it's an emergency issue. It has been long neglected. I think we have a serious problem on hands, and this is a public health issue also. So one expected the state government to actually involve people of Delhi in a far more participatory way. Although the time is short, I understand this should have actually happened much earlier. But even if at this stage, you see, an announcement by a chief secretary is something that I did not expect. I think he's the highest executive, he's the highest officer in the state, no doubt. But a statement from chief minister, a people elected chief minister, would have possibly had a better effect. And even now,
no, it doesn't matter. Let's talk about the content. Let's talk about the content of the announcement.
No, I think it's very important.
Because whether
it's not a bureaucratic order. You deliver as some kind of an executive order, and you expect everyone to implement it. and you blame somebody else when it's not implemented 3 weeks from now. I think you need a positive attitude.
That's not the crux of the issue, I'm afraid. That's not the crux of the issue. Let's talk about the crux of the issue, which is the feasibility. And I agree with the point that you made right now, although there are questions to be asked of the central government as well with regards to diesel vehicles, and we'll come to that in a minute, GVL. But Ashish, just coming back to you on that, he talks about lack of inclusion, and that's exactly what B.S. Bassi also said earlier today. I was not included. I was not part of the discussions. This came as a surprise to us. Now, the fact is, if you're going to implement something as drastic as this, you're going to have the Delhi police on board. Without the traffic police, you're not going to be able to do it.
We have to have the Delhi police on board. We have to have the MCD on board. We have to have the centre on board.
So why not include them in these discussions?
We have to have
the people of Delhi on board. So why would you not have one representative from the Delhi police with you in the discussion to try and figure out how this can actually be done?
That's why we have not set a strict timeline. We have said that we would like to do it from the 1st of January. And the next 25 days will be spent in chalking out a detailed action plan with all stakeholders, including the people of Delhi. We would like it to roll out by January 1st. But even if we have to extend it by 10-15 days, we will do it, but
that's the problem. By the time you extend it, if you extend it into the 15th of Jan, might as well not have anything at all.
We have to set timelines, Sumaira, and within those timelines, we have to carry out consultation.
Aman Panwar, I'm just going to request you to be a little patient with me. I'll come to you. I'm just going to go to two of the apolitical voices on the panel before I come to you, Aman Panwar. Just Sumaira Abdulali and coming to you, Vimlendu. First Sumaira Abdulali. The fact is, this is all an afterthought. Why is it, when it comes to environment, when it comes to our surroundings, when it comes to the city of Delhi, everything is an afterthought? There is no foresight. You are deciding on the 5th of December that you want to check the smog levels, when you know year after year you have smog in Delhi during winters.
I think that's one of the biggest problems, that air pollution itself has not been recognized until very recently, and that also because when some visiting people who had come here, important people, felt that the air pollution was really bad. That's when we started even waking up to the fact that we do need to do something. Even today, the kind of data that we have, we are talking of vehicular pollution, but we don't have any accurate data in Mumbai, in Delhi, in any of our cities as to what the actual causes of these pollution cumulatively are.
Yes.
We only have reports like from the BMC in Mumbai which say that air pollution is worse in winter. Now, winter is marked by the onset of Diwali, where firecrackers are burst, then they are burst throughout for the wedding season, and we are addressing mainly only vehicular pollution, that also by an unimplementable law like having only odd and even numbers. I ask you, if I have a car and a sick person in my house and I have the wrong numbered car, how are you going to prevent me from taking my sick person to hospital? And is it not going to be a very, very discretionary power of whoever is implementing it?
I think,
don't we need to
let's get Ashish to respond to that. We'll come back to you. That's a very important question. We were going to bring that up. Ashish, just respond to that. What happens in situations where someone needs to be taken immediately for medical attention and they have the wrong car for that day?
So first, yes. So, well, all these issues have cropped up before other cities as well, and they have worked around it and they have found solutions, and we are going to find the same solution. First of all, any policy has to be humane and people friendly. So what you're talking about, emergency situation, rushing to hospital, will be taken care of. We are going to take care of also emergency medical vehicles.
How? That's the question. Every traffic cop on the street is going to be stopping the wrong number car.
These are all the details. Well, listen. These are the details. These are the nitty-gritties that are going to be worked out by a top powered committee, high-powered committee, which is going to meet tomorrow and submit its report on the 8th. All these issues, factors will be taken care of.
Okay, let me ask you this.
This is what I want to assure the people of Delhi. This is going to be a humane and people-friendly policy.
Agreed. It's going to be humane and it's going to be people-friendly. But why were the people not included? For everything at the drop of a hat, before you became, when you got the seat of power in Delhi, there was a referendum that was used for decisions to be taken. 2 lakh messages have come in 2 hours or 4 hours, and this is the decision that has been taken. Was it sent across to the entire electorate that this is what we need to do? Can you tell us what we need to do? You as Delhiites, what you volunteer to do to control pollution? You didn't spend 48 hours to do that. Right through July, August, September, or October and November. So my point to you, Ashish, is so BS Bassi comes around today and says
Anand,
we are 5,000 traffic policemen.
I got your point.
5,000 traffic policemen, 76 lakh plus vehicles in Delhi. How do we monitor? Genuine questions, not a crib, no politics here.
So if you look at the city of London, when you drive into central London, nobody stops you manually, nobody takes toll from you physically. It's all technology, and through technology you pay congestion tax, through technology you pay green tax.
That's right.
We have to find technological solutions. 5,000 feet on the ground are enough. We have to come up with technological solutions, and you have to use high-end technology. Mr. Bassi is going to be
point, Ashish. You can't put the cart before the horse.
That's where
you can't put the cart before the horse. Yes, you need that technology, but don't you need to implement that technology first and then go about making these drastic changes? Because so just on pure logic alone, if you're admitting that you need technology and the 5,000 personnel are not going to be enough, what happens from 1st Jan onwards when no car is equipped with this flash card which you see in London? How are you going to do it without the technology being implemented first? It just, it just defies belief. It's not going to be possible, is the criticism. Aman Panwar, let's get your first reaction in. First of all, what do you have to say about this?
Tina, I think the argument given by Mr. Khetan is completely absurd. For the reasons...
Allow Aman a response.
Please, Mr. Khetan, allow me.
Yeah.
I think his argument is completely absurd for the reason that it is not practical to compare. First of all, it is not practical to compare Delhi with a very developed city like London or Beijing. Secondly, had they increased the number of or the fleet of buses in Delhi,
why not?
We
aspire to become a London or Beijing.
Just a second. I am talking how your
but he makes a valid point. See, Aman Panwar, the fact is those cities also started somewhere.
The issue is, had they increased the number of buses.
We'd like to be a London.
Of course,
and that in itself is not wrong.
Of course, we would like to be. But is it the right time to have this proposition implemented? Had they increased the number of buses, had they increased the number of metro rides, the metro is carrying 3 times the capacity.
Yeah, do that first. That's the thing, do that first. Give people the alternatives first. What are people going to do from 1st of January onwards? Where are the extra buses? Where is the expanded capacity of the metro? Unless you give the options first, Ashish, what are people going to do when you implement the ban? Let's get Vimlendu Jha in for the first comments. And Vimlendu, as Sumaira was saying earlier, vehicular pollution is not the only contributor to air pollution. What about industries? Which is something, the norms for small and medium enterprises has been tweaked by this Aam Aadmi Party government soon after they came into power to allow ease of business. They have in fact eased the pollution norms. Don't industries contribute to air pollution? What about all the other contributors? Vehicular pollution is only one of them, isn't it, Vimlendu Jha?
Absolutely right. But before I answer your question, I think one thing that we need to understand that when we're talking about a public health emergency, do we need 70 lakh vehicles on the road? Should we bring it down? Yes, there is a consensus that we need to fix the air.
Yes.
And one of the ways is to get lesser number of cars. Of course, when a government announces it, other than a romantic person announcing it, of course, there has to be a governance around any ecological solution. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about taking cars out, but replace it with what? And I think that's where some Aam Aadmi Party, perhaps, or the Delhi government should have really seen this. In the sense, the statistics of Delhi's deteriorating air is not a new solution, a problem.
Yes.
And therefore, what was our preparedness? And at the same time, also the central government, by the way, one thing that I want to tell, what do we mean by Swachh Bharat? Swachh Bharat means Swachh Pani, Swachh Hawa, and what has BJP government or the NDA government? So across party lines, I think, there's no respect that we have for public health. There is no respect that we actually have for ecology.
Vimlendu,
and that talks about the deteriorating politics of our country.
Before you even come to respect,
and of course, now coming back to
before you come to respect, there is no consciousness about public health. People don't realize there is something called your carbon footprint.
Right.
People don't realize because they say it's okay if I do it as long as the person next to me does not do it.
You know what? Also, December 5, if I'm
my
dying,
car is okay, his car is not okay, or her car is not okay. That's the attitude.
Vimlendu, one more thing, we need to so the thing is this, that is the idea bad? Not at all. How will the government transact this on ground, execute it on ground is very, very important. So for me as an environmentalist, do I want clean air and lesser vehicular pollution? Fine, it could be 15%, 20% because of private vehicles. But I think it's a good thought.
No, I have a query, Ashish.
Governments should not just come with good thought.
So sorry, I've just got a query from some of the viewers who are tweeting in. Now, the hashtag is odd even formula, and what they're tweeting, Ashish, is if somebody is coming from out of Delhi state, not Gurgaon, not Noida, say from Jaipur, Kanpur, or Lucknow, they're driving in. What do they do if they're entering Delhi borders and it's an even day and they have an odd number car? What do they do?
Okay, so
will they be allowed in?
Or at the cost of being repetitive.
Ashish, yeah.
So again, at the cost of being repetitive, I would say that these are the nitty-gritties that are going to be worked out by the high-powered committee that we have set up. They are going to hold consultation with all stakeholders within the Delhi government and outside the government.
Yeah.
That's, having said that, what other cities have done successfully, that they specify, they lay down the time windows, the time frames within which outside vehicles are not allowed. And that has to be widely disseminated, widely circulated. People have to be informed.
Okay, but
awareness campaign,
Ashish Khetan, that would be part two.
And regulation all have to go hand in hand.
Yeah, that's going to be part two. Let's talk about what's going to happen with the NCR's vehicles first.
We have to make exceptions as well.
Of course, and that's where it becomes complex, as we discussed earlier. So medical emergency, various other situations in which you will not be able to impose the ban. I'm going to say good evening to Sunita Narain, who joins us, Director for Centre for Science and Environment. Sunita Narain, you had recommended a whole host of suggestions to the Arvind Kejriwal government in February this year, ways in which air pollution in Delhi can be tackled. How much of it was acted upon?
Well, very little has been acted upon yet, but I hope that the Delhi government will act upon it now. And I am sure the Delhi Dialogue Commission, which Ashish is the head, will take up those suggestions because those are for long-term as well as short-term action. But I do want to say that this effort, this action that the Delhi government has taken, this is something that they have thought about, that they have decided to enact. I think it is very good. We would welcome it. And the question now is the challenge of implementation. But it obviously is something that will be an effort, if it succeeds, can help us to clean up Delhi's air. So we must not oppose it right now, but I think we should ask the Delhi government
please,
to
Sunita,
make sure that they can
understand,
implement it
nobody is
effectively
opposing
on the ground.
Nobody is opposing it. The question is, has it been thought about?
Good.
Is it practical to implement it the way it's been announced? Because GVL Narasimha Rao, what about two-wheelers? Two-wheelers don't pollute? No, and has it been accounted for?
They do.
People who if there is a clash of days, if they are somewhere entering the Delhi borders, because abroad, when you talk about other countries, they have places where you can park your car. You can take a token, be assured that your car is safe, and they have a direct public transport mechanism which reaches you to your destination if there is an overlap. We don't have all of that. See, the infrastructure is not in place, GVL.
Yeah, Anand, you see, one may not have answers to all the questions. I think that is understandable. One, it is very much delayed. This issue has not got the attention of the government. And we must admit it, and it's a pressing issue concerning public health. But the real concern that one has is where, you see, implementing it in London or Paris or some other country is not going to be replicated. Just making an announcement is the easiest thing anybody can do. We can announce a series of measures tomorrow morning, but one has to think through the implementation, and also one must take the responsibility for implementation. See, what one has seen in Delhi government's case is to put the blame on somebody else for anything that they have not been successful in implementation.
Okay, but GVL, my question to you is...
They should take the responsibility.
But GVL, my question to you is, isn't it better to try something than to do nothing? You know, I have to ask you about this. Isn't it true the Transport Ministry in an application filed, application filed before the NGT this year, said that a ban on all diesel vehicles is not going to help, since it's not going to provide a holistic solution to the problem. So since we can't solve the problem in its entirety, let's do nothing about it. That's what the Transport Ministry's stand has been.
That was based on an IIT study. I think do mention that fact also.
Oh no, I have.
It was based on a study. It was based on a study conducted by IIT
has only looked at private vehicles. The IIT study, we have it with us right here. It has only looked at private vehicles. And when we talk about all diesel vehicles, we are not just talking about private vehicles. We are talking about trucks. We are talking about buses. And the IIT study has not taken that into account. I'm going to bring Sunita Narain in here. Sunita Narain, that application before the NGT with regards to all diesel vehicles.
No, let's be very clear that IIT study was not worth IIT's name. Center for Science and Environment has shown just how badly done that study was. It was an anecdotal study, did not even have a proper estimation of the number of diesel vehicles. Let's be very clear. Diesel vehicles across the world today, and you have seen the Volkswagen scandal that is happening, diesel vehicles are today responsible for the bulk of vehicular pollution because of both particulate emissions, black carbon as well as NOx. They are bad. And let's also be very clear, the last government and this government continues to subsidize diesel vehicles.
Yes.
Today you can buy a Mercedes-Benz and still run it on diesel, which is cheaper than petrol because of the tax differential. And where the central government is really to blame is the fact that it has not brought in Euro 4 standards across India. So as a result of it, today the trucks that are coming into Delhi are still using
I am sure you are aware, the
ppm of fuel. And I think that's really where the big crisis is. Mr. Narasimha Rao will understand this and accept this, that this is where central government has to act, Delhi government has to act. We have to deal with this emergency threat of pollution, and we cannot keep just saying, he has to do something, she has to do something.
Yes.
Everyone has to take their own actions.
GVL, a quick response to that before we go in for our first commercial break. The question is, yes, can you completely disregard what all diesel vehicles do to air pollution? It's a fact known across the world.
Okay, I think certainly the experts certainly have the right knowledge. The government is seized of the matter. It's not just the vehicular pollution that is causing the problem. We have a big problem on hand. But I think without, as far as implementation of today's order is concerned, you cannot do it merely passing it as some kind of a diktat. I think we know the mindset of our own people. I think a diktat is not likely to work. I think you will have to really involve people. And this party, I think Aam Aadmi Party has that experience. They talked about conducting Mohalla Sabhas, locality meetings. I think this is an issue, like the salary hikes for MLAs.
Yeah, you know, we would have liked Mohalla Sabhas on this matter. We would have liked to have you know, Delhiites into a referendum on this matter as to how Delhi can itself come up and offer solutions to curb pollution. There are many questions to ask. We have to take a very short break. Request our panelists to stay on. It's a very short break. Viewers, please stay on. We say good evening to Maxwell Pereira too, sir. We'll come to you just in 2 minutes. Welcome back. And as we stay on the odd-even formula that's been initiated and mooted by the Delhi government, beg your pardon, to try and curb pollution in the state of Delhi, we go across to Maxwell Pereira, former Joint Commissioner of the Delhi Police. Sir, has this been thought through? Is this possible? The way the Aam Aadmi Party has initiated it? Mr. Pereira, can you hear me?
So, अभी कुछ नहीं.
Okay, I don't think he's getting the audio through. Vimlendu Jha, I want to come back to you and ask you, if the intent was honest, right, and earnest, saying that we want to curb pollution in the city of Delhi, the odd-even formula should have been backed by a total curb or a closure of sale of any four-wheeler for the next 60 days. That would have shown intent. So that you don't have more cars, no new registrations.
See, one thing is that what we're facing on December 5 has to be really, we need to do something on December 5 rather than create a long-term solution. It's important. It's a different matter that governments don't do anything about that long-term solution also. Right now, there are transaction issues, but it actually is a commentary on how do we look at our urban planning and how do we look at our ecology. If you look at Delhi's environment issue, air quality issue, Chennai disaster, all of these issues, by the way, are actually connected, which says that our political class is actually least bothered about how a citizen lives and does not foresee, as in we have elected you so that you can think on our behalf, the central government or Delhi government or whoever, and that is the missing, and there's no regret that we actually see. Nobody regrets about the fact that why didn't the Delhi government see it coming? Why didn't the central government see it coming? Why are we actually talking about, I will not help you? Right now, the first thing that perhaps BJP should do, or the central government should do, is say, well, good idea, yes, 50% cars off the roads, we will try, rather than saying no. The fact that it's coming from an opposition, an opposing party, we will just not do it. So I think we all need to understand that it's emergency, for heaven's sake, and it's not smog politics.
I think he's got it wrong.
Yeah, GVL, go ahead.
No, I think he's trying to assume certain position from the central government. Have we opposed it? Has anyone opposed it?
Have you welcomed it? Have you welcomed
there are
it?
several of your ministers.
Have you said we're on
several
board
of your
with this?
ministers, by the way.
Try and implement it because the intention is right.
Have you seen Naqvi? Have you heard what Mr. Naqvi said?
Please wait. Let me say, we need to do everything to bring it under control. We are not saying no to this at all. I think central government would certainly extend all cooperation.
Yes, let's begin with MPs walking to Parliament, sir, or starting a carpool. Let's begin with our MLAs taking the metro from tomorrow itself.
We have to take the responsibility for implementation. We are not saying no to it. I think it's Delhi needs certain urgent measures to be taken.
Because some of your ministers are...
Yeah, therefore,
no, nobody has opposed it. Please don't get it wrong.
Let the transport ministry take another look at the issue of old diesel cars.
Digressing from the issue.
We are digressing from the issue. The issue of old diesel vehicles is an extremely important one. And Ashish Khetan, I come back to you on that. Why? Because if you look at cities that have tried this odd-even formula in the past, one of the biggest failings of this formula has been the fact that people have gone and bought cheaper second-hand diesel cars just to get around this loophole, to have that second number plate so that they can drive it on alternate days. And that in certain cases like Mexico, for example, has actually led to increased levels of air pollution. You're going to have to face serious issues like this because people have a habit, unfortunately, of trying to find loopholes.
And just to join in here, the question is not about the idea, the odd-even formula. The question is on its timing. Why has this government not bought a single DTC bus in the last 10 months? Why have you not done any efforts to augment public transport? It is a knee-jerk reaction after the court indicted. Had they put this plan into perspective, had they increased the number of taxis, cabs, and introduced more buses and metro rides for the citizens, then this would have been a practical formula. Is the timing of this formula right or wrong? This is something that needs to be deliberated upon.
I'm really sorry to have to bring this up, but did your government ever think through anything? The BRT in Delhi brought in by your government is the biggest colossal disaster of the city.
I will remind you, Tina,
you might not be aware. City for that BRT, which is nothing but dust and concrete today. So thinking something through.
I think you are not very well aware about the history of Delhi. The CNG implementation was in the Congress government's regime. The United Nations recognized it as one of the best models in urban. The United Nations recognized it as one of the best urban CNG implemented formula.
Will you credit the judiciary too, sir?
Kindly note that.
No,
and
will
refresh
you
your
also
memory.
note, will you also credit the judiciary? Because that was also a rap on the knuckles. That was also pressure from the courts. So every time the pressure has to come from the courts for the polity to do something. Sunita Narain, that's the reality. The point is, we will not do anything jab tak pani sar se upar nahi chala jata. We will not look ahead.
The question is
we will
about
not try and avoid a situation.
If today,
and that's the reality.
Today we have auto rickshaws and the buses running on CNG fuel.
Can you
Yeah. Aman, one sec. Yes, Sunita.
I think Congress really needs to now back down on these debates, and that would be my request to the Congress party, because unnecessarily I think they are not in power anymore. I think the AAP party is in power right now, and the AAP party now has to clean up Delhi's air. Now what Congress did or didn't do doesn't matter. The AAP party is now in power. And I think the focus has to be on how the AAP party will implement their own order. And the question that all of us have to do is to only support the government. But the only point I want to make here is that AAP party also has to understand now that this is a governance challenge. The fact is that when they are going to be implementing this, obviously there will be a number of problems that they will face. But this is exactly what governments have to do. And if you are in confrontational mode with the police, if you are in a confrontational mode with the central government, you will not get things implemented. Implementation is about cajoling.
Right.
It's about working with institutions. It's about getting things done. And I am sure they are intelligent party, very well meaning. I am sure they will do it. But
Sunita,
that's what people of Delhi now expect from them.
Yeah, Mr. Maxwell Pereira, can you hear me, sir, now? Sir, we lost the audio connection with you when I was coming to you earlier. Now, what do you make of this decision? Has it been thought about? Is it practical in Delhi today?
No, I mean, it's a good decision. It's a good decision which has been implemented in many countries before. But then the crucial point is that half the population you are, keeping them out of commuting and keeping them out of bringing their vehicles. And when they don't bring their vehicles, what happens? Do you have alternate transport for them? So have you provided for that? Does your metro have the capacity to cover them?
Exactly.
As you know, it has come out before that metro has got only 12% of the metro is within accessible distance, that is walking distance for people. What happens to the rest?
Yes.
How do they commute? What do they do? I mean, these are points that need to be done. And then is this just a ploy? I mean, while everybody wants to support, but without any dry run, without any, what can I say, feasibility study to implement it. If you order it, how do you enforce? Who enforces it? Transport authority, traffic police? If it is traffic police, have the traffic police been consulted? And I mean, there are lots of question marks. If I would love it to succeed.
Yes.
But then to succeed, there are, alternate modes of traffic. I mean, alternate modes of, transport for these people who cannot bring their vehicle on a particular day.
Well, that's,
So,
that comes back to, yes,
I mean, Delhi has got the most
miserable transport system. It comes back to the same point that we started with Ashish Khetan. And, that is, does your government realize just how huge the challenges of implementation are going to be? And if you do, then, why weren't people like the Delhi police included in your discussions? We'll come back to you on that question as we return now with exactly the same topic, but looking through the modalities and the finer points of what the Delhi government proposes to do. Back with the Newshour at 10 in a few minutes. Stay on with us.